Welcome back to the
Blake,
Casting Cost
just don't.
cEDH podcast. I'm Blake.
And I'm Chase, and today we're joined by KakeJelley and Zarrick, the Jakes.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, he's
Now
muted
Jake's
himself.
muted.
Now Jake's muted.
This is a shit show.
See, that's staying in. So,
I said
anyway.
so many things, and then it's all muted.
All good. Welcome back to the
like,
Casting
didn't even
Cost
respond.
cEDH podcast, where we can't do an intro. I'm Blake.
And I'm Chase. And we fucked it up entirely, so it's okay.
I'm Zarrick. Nice to meet you all. AKA Jake.
I'm KakeJelley, also Jake.
Hell yeah. We got there. It just took
Hell yeah.
enough tries.
We did it. We did it.
Quick editor note. We are now affiliated with Manivault Proxies. So we talk a lot about proxies in this video. Kentucky is not a proxy-friendly state. So if you want to stick it to the stores in the states that are not proxy-friendly, go buy some proxies. Manivault Proxies is run by Notorious. He's one of the players that top 16 the Fishbowl on Arkham Dagson. And he's been cool enough to give us an affiliate link. So it'll be down in the description. If you go and you want to buy some proxies and proxy out your decks, you can use that affiliate link. And then if you use our coupon code CCC, so CCC at checkout, then you get 5% off. And it also helps support the channel, helps support them. So go do that. And like I said, stick it to the shops that are anti-proxy. Back to your regularly scheduled program.
All three stay in.
Yes. We appreciate y'all obviously being on tonight. Chase, what are we talking about tonight?
So I think as far as tonight goes, I know we were kind of talking about before we actually started the episode, we had a long discussion on this, but a couple of weeks ago, Ty was on here. Now, Zarrick, you are from Ohio, and I know that Ty had made the comment, gave you a shout out there of you have put in a lot of efforts of growing the Ohio scene. And so that's kind of what we're talking about tonight. Not just the Ohio scene, but I think just for cEDH in general, as far as I think that this is kind of an area where a lot of places just struggle, like being able to grow a scene, being able to get people on board, not just getting either casual players or newer players into the format, but even getting shop stores, TOs, whatever, to really understand what our format is and kind of jump on board with it for the health of the format. So I think that's kind of what we're talking about tonight. So if you want to, kind of give us your input and some of your advice that are the things you went through in growing the Ohio scene.
Also,
Sure.
Before you go into that too, I would love for y'all to give a background too on what you like, who you are, and like what you do in the community, or like, you know what I mean, like who you are and what you've done.
Yeah, I can do that. So I'm Zarrick. Twitter, Moxfield, all that stuff. Zarrick or ZerrickkMTG. I'm Jake is my real name. I have been playing Magic ever since OG Zendikar. I played a lot of Standard and 60 card back in the day, and then took a bit of a hiatus. Came back into Commander at 2016 when the partners, like the good partners, got introduced. Got really big on Jessica Ishai. So like when the database was like an actual thing to reference, I think I'm still on there under Jessica Ishai for prep time. And then grinded more. The format evolved and got slowly figured out, switched over to Blue Farm, and just been playing Blue Farm nonstop, basically, here and there, changing it up. And just doing stuff, like went to the Invitational last year, and now I'm just grinding for fun and figuring stuff out as we go. So,
What about you, Kate?
Yeah, I started playing with one of the Ravnica sets. I got into it just because a friend of mine bought me a deck. Him and another friend of mine were really into the game, and they wanted me to play with them. So they built me a deck for Christmas, and I got into it, and then took a really long hiatus from it through college. And then after college, I reconnected with a buddy who played, and I just built really powerful casual. and none of them played powerful casual. And so it made for a lot of frustrating nights around whatever table we were playing at. And eventually I found that cEDH was a thing and met another friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in a long time. And he kind of helped get me into the format. And then I started watching like Play to Win and Playing with Power and all the big names of that time. And I have not looked back. I really enjoy it. There's not much of I didn't go to the Invitational or anything like that. I'm very active in the local scene and play a lot at my locals, but outside of that, I don't really travel to tournaments much anymore. So.
Well, and I think just a quick point before we get into like the Ohio discussion and things that Zerrick has kind of done for that. Like you are also native to Kentucky. Like even
Just
though
a short hour 45.
Yeah, it's just a short hour and 45 and a completely different
with a
time zone.
change. Yeah.
Yes. Other than that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, even though you've made like significant efforts in trying to promote your local scene, like you still kind of struggle with the same things that we are dealing with as far as stores kind of being like very wary of cEDH, worried about losing like WPN status if they allow proxies, not really sure like how the actual tournaments are going, not really certain how like top deck events are going. And then probably just like, it's so weird because like clearly Jake has done very well growing the scene in Ohio. We have a lot of people down in Tennessee as far as like, Kellen and like the Nashville crew that are down there. Like everyone that's like in Georgia, everyone that's in like just this region has a lot of stacked players in it. But Kentucky is not one of those places.
We're the weird in between.
We're the weird in between. But I feel like that's kind of what I said. Like, we're starting to see like almost like this regional thing starting popping up across the U.S. with just really highly competitive people. And so that's why I think this is a important discussion as far as like how do we actually grow our local metas or just not even just a state but the local metas. And so I know that tongue twisters. You've made a lot of efforts. I think that especially like through the decades, like that's where we first got connected, and just seeing the impact that you have on the people there, trying to promote a lot of positivity, things like that. I know Blake and I, we've kind of tried to do the same thing at times, trying to grow our local scene. But it has its difficulties at times, and again, especially here in Kentucky. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm asking you, Zerrick, as far as like, what were the things that you did to get things established?
So this was 2022. Okay. That's when we were talking, a few of us were about trying to like start growing tournaments locally instead of us like playing just casually or like F&M nights and stuff like that to go. So one of the shops nearby my home, I drove out, I proposed, hey, this is what a few of us are interested in doing. What can we do to make this fire? And the shop owner at the time was like, you pay for prize support and we'll throw it. Okay, cool. Here's $200. I'll buy a Jewel Lotus. I'll buy a at the time, because it was still played, back in that era, Sensei's Divining Top. I bought a Dockside and some other random card. I was like, there's your top 4. Everyone's playing for cards. I didn't know a lot of like the point structure and stuff and how it was comparing from like going from 60 card to like 44 person pods. So like the point stuff. So I kind of did it wrong initially. Like I'll admit it. Like we did double elim winner and then highest life total or like second, got like, like second place in the pod and moved on, stuff like that. And it took a lot, like just dropping $200 right off the rip, for staples. And the shop was like, no proxies. I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but sure. Like, I'm paying for the prize support. You want to do that? That's fine. I think like that first one, we had like 22 people show up
Wow.
for like a Jewel Lotus.
That's good for first one.
Yeah, I mean, it was at the time $100 card because it only had that one printing because Commander Masters just dropped. So a lot of people were like, sick, Jewel Lotus. So it got traction, and then um, a shop in Columbus, Ohio, heard about it, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Steve at Warpgate, love him to death. He reached out and he's like, I want to fire a cEDH event. I have way better cards than them, and we have a bigger populace. So he worked with another guy that also was interested at the time in the format with us, and we all talked. And he gave prize support, and he did their number of rounds. He kind of didn't know the point structure either. We all kind of were still figuring that out, in that time. And then he also was no proxy. So like people are playing like it felt like a paywall. So like on one hand, I'm sitting here with my force of will, my pact of negation, force of negation, the fetches, the shocks, the duels at the time for, Jeskai. And this dude's playing like Crick, but can't afford like the staples that Crick needed at the time. So he's playing like a watered down one. And it feels that way when you go to an event with no proxy even now, where it feels like a paywall. Like, when I went to Through the Decades, when I met you guys, the first round, it was basically me and one other player sitting, just duking it out because everyone's limited on interaction. Our pod, Chase, when we played the Rockside, he didn't have a time twister. He didn't have like half the wheels or half the free stuff. So like the fastest deck in the format's on a crutch right out the gate.
Yeah,
and it feels bad.
absolutely.
Like it feels bad. So after we got everything established and Top Deck came out at that point, I paid for a subscription. I was like, here, use it. I don't care. Let's just try and promote more. And then at that point, I made the Discord with some friends. Ty, that's how I met Ty, a friend of ours at the time, was like, hey, Ty should be a mod. He's great with Discord. Andy came on to the crew. He started helping make like the channels because he had more free time to like clean it up. I monitored it. We brought Kevin on so that way we had like 5 to try and keep it like, voting and fairness. So that way it wasn't just like, 2-2 split. So we kind of grew it that way. But like we told the shops we're calling the shots in like the nicest way possible.
Right.
Like if Ashland wanted to put on an event, they can promote it, but like you're gonna have to eventually cave because people are showing interest in coming, but you're limiting the proxies or no proxies. And then they moved to 10 and they got a nicer turnout. And I think that's like where some of the shops were like hesitant because 10 proxies outside of the reserve list can be a lot. And some shops are always thinking like, oh, we're losing business. Because you can just print the card at Staples and you don't have to buy the card. And that's like a very easily like falsely proven thing because cEDH players love shiny cardboard and love owning cards. Like,
yes, sir.
I put store credit, like I took my winnings and turned it into buying Staples for Blue Farm. Like I bought my Tundra because of like winning or top 4ing like 3 events.
Right.
Like I wanted to own the Tundra, I got the Tundra. So it just took a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, you bring up a lot of really good points, and like, I'm like kind of going in reverse order of that stuff. Like as far as like one as cEDH players, and I used to be in this boat of like, I didn't want shiny cardboard. I didn't want anything like that. And I think everyone kind of goes through that. And then I put CISA together and I went, this is the first deck I'm going to foil out completely. And I want this. And like because of how our local scene had been and just our state in general, whether you go to Louisville, you go to Somerset, I think even in Murray, like most of the events are non-proxy. So I took the time, I built up my just some extra money, got all the duels, everything that I needed. So like I'm good to go with these events. That's no problem. But I think what you were saying there, as far as like stores being really reluctant and like not wanting to do this, either because they are concerned that Wizards is going to come after them or they're not going to make enough money off the event or things like that. Like it kind of makes me think back to what we end every single podcast episode with, as far as go play some cEDH, as far as like, and it kind of brings me to that because it's like, stores, you kind of have to trust the process. we have enough people in the format now that have been to some of these events or are really trying to push more and more of it and have seen the success that other shops are doing it. Just give it a shot. Like that's what happened this past weekend at our locals. Like it hosted an actual like bronze tier event. And unfortunately, I couldn't play all the way through it. I had some other obligations I was supposed to go to, but like they took a shot at it. They were very hesitant of it. They didn't want to do any proxies at first. They allowed 10, and then they ended up like getting 36 of 40 spots filled, and they were just like, oh shit, like this is a thing. Like I didn't know this could happen. And people, I think, were actually coming in, buying stuff, looking for cards. So it ended up being an overall positive experience. Like you just have to go play cEDH and you just have to give the process a chance from the storefront, I feel like is what it is.
I think that's one of the things that frustrates me the most with, especially like our local situation, which thankfully, like a lot of people went up to them during that event and were like, oh, you'd get an even bigger turnout if you made it full proxy, because like most events, you know, in Nashville or in that area are full proxy. And I was like, thank God people are going and saying this. But the thing that drives me nuts is like, you have these people that are active in a space and they're telling you and giving you advice on like you're in the space, so you know how things work in said space, and somebody is trying to host an event on like within that space, and you are there giving advice. You're like, this is what I see. I'm active in the space, whether it's as a player, just a bystander, because I enjoy watching cEDH content and seeing stuff, as a creator, all this stuff. And you're like, here, advice, and then they just take all of it and they go like, fuck you. And like, that's the thing that frustrates me the most. I wish that more Kentucky shops would get on board with the whole proxy situation. I can understand like why they would be hesitant. I definitely understand, but I honestly feel like we are, as a format, growing so fast that like eventually people are just not going to be able to ignore us anymore. Like I've even got friends that play casual that like used to tell me all the time, like, I will never play cEDH, I think it's stupid. And now they're coming up to me and saying, hey, I want to play cEDH. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like that's awesome. So I mean, yeah, I think eventually it's going to get to a point where they can't ignore you. Now, whenever it was small and you were first getting started, I think it's awesome that y'all just kind of looked at the shops and were like, we're running shit, and if you don't like it, we're not hosting it at your show.
Well, like, so when we started the Discord, you know, it was me, a few others, and then like 3 shops, right? And I was like, hey, you know, I will help you guys the best I can. We will all help. We will spread the word, but we need to get more people into this Discord. And like regions have different Discords. Like there's a Cleveland Discord, there's a Mansfield Discord, a Cincinnati Discord, I'm sure. But like the whole point of like the Ohio one is it's all Ohio for every shop to post. Like if you want Cincinnati to come up to Ashland, which is a 2.5 hour drive, post it, annoy the shit out of them, and just make the prize pool worth their time, you know? And that was the whole point. And eventually, shops were reaching out to me and a few others in the mod team, but they all just said go to Jake because, you know, he's been doing it for so damn long. And I was like, okay, here's what we're doing. And like Better Place, a shop that I work with, and I'm really good friends with the owner up near Akron, he's now gotten to the point where he posts like a bronze or silver event and he pushes golds just for his monthly casuals. Yeah. Like he's getting people from PA to come down, Michigan to come down, like Dexter, Maddie, and all them to come down just to play because they know they're going to have good competition. They're proxy friendly and the prize is worth it. And to go piggyback a little bit off of what you said about shops being afraid of wizards, I can understand to a certain extent because we have a shop around here that does that if they use tickets or paywall because that's wizard owned prize support. So I can understand if they were doing tickets for prizing or stuff off the paywall where it's like, okay, then you're sure, like Wizards will know. It's not a sanctioned format yet, but Wizards will know, and I can understand that. But if you don't use the paywall or the prize support or the tickets or whatever it's called, just make it no proxy. Like you'll get the turnout, you'll get the people invested, and you'll probably make your money back on just entries alone. That's not including your snacks. That's not including trade-in for, you know, shiny better cards. Like, bro, who doesn't want to pick up a foil Bunny Demonic Consultation. Or like
Absolutely.
own like, you know, their own Mox Diamond. Like to some people that's like a holy grail item to have. Or owning their first dual land. Like everyone's been at that point like I want a dual land. I want to upgrade my shock to a dual land. Like that's sick. You know, like people want to do that. And
Yeah.
if you just give if you give like the player base the little like worm on the hook, they'll eat it. They'll come in, they'll spend the money, and then they're throwing away their proxy at the end of the day. They're leaving it for a casual deck or someone to borrow because they own the real one.
Yep. Well, I remember,
But
it's funny because every time we play in events, like going up to like through the decades is a good example, but like going to events, everybody goes to Chase because they go, Chase, I don't have this card. Can I borrow this card? And Chase is a fucking madman, and he'll actually just lend out like that. Like somebody, or yeah, Joel, he like whenever we were at that Clarksville tournament, it wasn't even like it wasn't no proxy. Like you just play whatever, but like Joel goes, hey, these are Chase's cards. Go ahead and like I need you to give them back to him. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm just sitting here staring at these cards, and I'm like, how much money am I fucking holding in this like grip that he just let this dude borrow? And I asked my wife, I was like, how much do you think this is worth? And I fanned them all out, and she's like, $400. And then I started doing the math, and it was like $5,000. And he just
It was
go ahead.
it was all the TNT duels and survival of the fittest in a cradle and but that's beside the point. Something you were bringing up, Jake, that I couldn't help but think about is like, you know, going back to those points of like almost being assertive and like being like, hey, this is how it is. I feel like I don't know the size of the shops that you're talking about, right? Because we've never been to Ohio and experienced some of those. Like, I feel like that's a lot easier to do with, like, not necessarily, like, you're not going and bullying the shops by any means. Like, you're being assertive and be like, hey, we've grown this, and this is what the expectation is from everyone in our community. This is how it's going to be done, and you had success of it. Our local shops, and even like here and like going towards like Somerset or Murray, they're smaller stores, so there might have a little bit more concern with like doing some of that unless they try it, like, and then they get any success out of it. But then we just brought up through the decades, and this is where we're going to turn it over to Cake to you know, talk about this a little bit. But like, I don't know, do you think that the size of the shop even matters? Because like I just thinking of that for as an example, because like through the decades has kind of been like people have said before, like that's the largest shop in the US. Like I even think there's another YouTube video on it. So it's just like, would they even like bat an eye at people going, oh, what are they? No, get out of here. Like that's my thought of like reaction from a store that size.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are your thoughts on that?
so,
I think.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Which Jake?
That's why I'm calling you Cake now.
Oh, okay, got it.
So I think the thing with through the decades is it's kind of in this weird spot because like they're the biggest shop in Louisville. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're probably the biggest shop and they have the biggest cred because they have literally every TCG, like, and their events fire like mad. Like if you look in their Discord, they're like insane with Pauper. They're insane with Modern, pre-Modern, like every format. They're just like, yeah, there's like 10 plus some people, and like that fires an FNM, you know? So like that's what they care about because that looks good for Wizards because then they keep getting the product. So if they can keep getting the product and what guaranteed formats are, and I could entirely be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but like from like a player standpoint, if you're getting enough coverage and players for sanctioned formats, the cEDH stuff, yeah, it's cool, but like your sanctioned formats are going to bring you in way more money than your unsanctioned formats, like 9 times out of 10. Unless the prize support is insane for the unsanctioned, where people are going to want to come. Because like RCQs are insane right now because 60 cards in a great spot for like standard and stuff, at least until they address VV. Modern's in the healthiest spot it's ever been in. No one plays Pioneer, but Pauper's amazing. Like they're all in a really good spot, and people want to play them, and people want to play for RCQs because the PT is getting a lot more like love and treatment to bring back 60 card love. So it kind of is a trickling snowball to where, they're just like, yeah, this is where our big money is and our sales and legacy. Like, we'll just, you know, do that, and whatever happens with cEDH, I guess, will happen with cEDH.
Well,
But
okay.
I
So,
could be wrong. Like Jake would know way better than I would about the turnout. I'm just saying from an outside, when I traveled down there once and I see what their Discord's looking like that's my personal outlook on it from the outside looking in.
Jake, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's pretty much right. The problem is that they have a lot of eyes on them because they host a lot of RCQs. They're one of the regional Yu-Gi-Oh people or something. They're just so involved in all of the communities, in all the different TCGs, and they have the eyes of Wizards on them. And I think that's why they're more hesitant than you might see other stores be, which is really frustrating, but I digress. So yeah, everything Jake said is correct, and I think just to take it that one step further, it's also that they have the eyes of Wizards on them because they host so many of these sanctioned events and they have such large turnouts all the time.
that's so funny. This is totally not off topic, but kind of off topic. Um, I just realized I thought my first event that I ever went to was that event that I played against you guys over there,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just realized I've been to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament over there. Whenever I was like tournament
Mm-hmm.
grinding my ass off with Yu-Gi-Oh, I just realized that I played in that shop. Like I just had this like realization moment where I was like, oh shit, like
Yeah, I've
that's.
been told that they host like one of the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments in the US.
Mhm.
And again, it's just another thing to say they have the eyes on them. And I get it. It's just
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I
we've already
and I
talked
can
about all that.
understand that because like even with our local shop, like is like for the event they hosted this past weekend, it was only like 40, like up to 40 people. So it's like nearly max capacity for the shop. But they actually host a ton of RCQs. So whether it be limited, standard, modern, I think they're trying to get some popper events going. I actually think they are trying to get some top deck popper events going now. All of the pre-releases, things like that. So I could definitely understand from a storefront perspective, like the worry of like what happens if you kind of bite the hand that feeds, right? And it's just like it's disheartening and it makes it difficult to grow. But then
Mm.
it's just kind of like that you see that Wizards continues to, like, to some extent, kind of support Commander, even though like the Spider-Man set, they didn't release like Commander decks or things like that. Like what they just released a special guest for the Avatar set was going to be like Mystic or more. Like the past few years,
Yeah.
they keep printing like all these different staples in our format, and it's just like that's kind of hard to ignore. Like they
Mhm.
have eyes on us, and even if like even with the recent updates and the Commander brackets and things like that, like yeah, there's some things that speculation and whatnot of changes for even our format, but they don't really focus on the cEDH aspect of things. So it makes it, I can understand from the store perspective of like, do we truly have to cater to this? But I think over time we're going to start to see more and more of a shift in this direction because Commanders in general is becoming more and more popular in
Mhm.
just the Magic space. And I agree with you, Jake, as far as like all the other formats are in a healthy spot right now. It makes sense to, well, with the exception of the VV Cauldron deck. So it makes sense that they want to continue to push that. They want to continue to keep that WPN status. But our format's also kind of in a healthy-ish spot as well. And so why not support that? What, like, so I don't know. It, like I said, it's disheartening to see. And I think that this is an issue that you know, a lot of people, if they don't have a big local scene, or maybe they only have one store like what we do, they kind of see at times. And so it's just like, you made all those comments on like you actually fronted the prize support or fronted the money for it. You were contacting all these places. You made like a state Discord to keep shops and people connected and all these other things. Like, I don't know. Do you feel like there's anything else that ever crossed your mind that maybe you have thought about trying to do, or maybe you have anything in the works currently to continue promoting things?
So, current stuff in the works. I am currently working with Better Plays in Akron, Ohio, or Stowe, Ohio, sorry. We are working on doing the biggest Ohio ran specific platinum or diamond event, hopefully in April. We're looking at Cleveland or Columbus, but we want it to be specifically Ohio based as much as we can. So like, like artists from Ohio, because we have a few shops to like be like the primary people we ask for tables and stuff like that to bring their best stuff. If they want to host side events, things like that. Like we're trying to keep it as much Ohio-ly ran without expanding because we probably will have to, but we want to try and keep it like within the community to show that we can do it. And in the past, we kind of like not necessarily stuck it, but we kind of did to shops like me and Ty, Ohio, and a few others. Like we ran our own event without shop affiliation at all. I believe not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. We posted it, and in an hour, all 36 spots sold out because it was something different, something unique. We covered like the playmats. So if you ever see like Cal from Playing with Power when he's on like Play to Win, he'll have like the Ohio like postcard playmat. We made that. We bought the rights for that. We
Cool.
did, yeah, we did that. We had like little Christmas tokens of like Dockside dressed as Santa Claus for treasures because he was legal back then and it was something sick. Like we showed the shops that like 100% proxy ran and it sold out in an hour. And it was
Wow.
and it was during Christmas weekend at the time. Like Christmas happened, Saturday was the event.
Oh shit.
And it sold out.
It sold out
Wow.
and
That's
everyone
crazy.
came. Yeah, everyone came. So it was like the perfect like Christmas wish. But we showed shops like if you have no proxies and you make the prize great and it's someone that is dependable and like amazing, they're gonna trust you.
I'm
And if we
curious.
can do it again, then we're gonna do it again.
I'm curious from Jake's perspectives or Cake. I'm just gonna say Cake, whatever we'll say it. But I'm curious from your perspective. Like, have you noticed that your local scene, like the local shop, obviously through the decades, have you noticed that they've had a hard time, like hitting the numbers that they maybe want to hit during CDH events because of the proxy limit, or has it not really been a factor for them? Do you feel like?
No, it absolutely has. I think you saw it. Like it's that, and it's the prize support that they choose to do. They choose to do store credit, and when you're playing a no proxy event, they don't get the turnout that they want.
Mm-hmm.
At the Mox Diamond event of 54 people, I think we had was our biggest turnout that they've ever had for a CDH tournament.
Oh, okay.
And like 54 is so small comparatively if you look at any other event. Um, so yes, it's definitely an issue. It's definitely a factor. And I just listening to Jake talk, I'm wondering if there's a world where we approach another shop and start talking about them hosting just to like, and even if you use another shop, then if you get that kind of turnout that Jake's talking about and you show that it's possible to get that turnout while doing proxies, then you can go back to TTD because they're the biggest shop, one of the biggest in the US. I asked one of the managers one time how many they could seat. They can seat like 350 people in there.
Fuck.
And me as a CDH player, I'm sitting here going, dude, that'd be a crazy tournament to play at. But I I don't know, Jake. What do you think? Is that realistic? Do you think?
So I wouldn't necessarily use a shop as a guinea pig because that's just terrible if they ever like found out like ulterior motives. I think ultimately what the goal of trying to make if you're trying to make TTD specifically proxy friendly, you're probably just going to end up beating your head against a brick wall. I would
Mhm.
rather use the community and reach out to local shops and you can tell them to talk to me. Like I've had my DMs flooded for the past 3
Mhm.
years with shops like help us. Like what do we got to do? And I will tell them the same thing every time. But if you can just get the community to come together and just show support to shops that are willing to try and take the risk, then they're going to be happy, they're going to be thankful, and they're going to just trust you and trust the player base because that's where their money lies.
Mm-hmm.
And if their cEDH events are bigger than their modern or their standard or their pioneer or whatever, then they're going to keep doing it and they're going to keep making them bigger and better. Or they'll have like like their local monthlies be like maybe like a 1K, and then they'll put like maybe like 3 months down the road, instead of $25 you're paying 50, but now you're paying for 3K prize support.
Mm.
Proxy friendly. We're going to try and get a gold event if you do it through Top Deck for points. And then you're having eyes from like outside of your community coming in, and then they're going to talk about it. You know, like they're going to look at it and they're going to go, okay, well, this is something that I can go to. Like Mom's Basement, you know, over the weekend in Michigan held a time twister for first place, a Gaia's Cradle for second, a Mox Diamond and Underground Sea for third and fourth. Like they had 120 some people at an event that was entirely proxy friendly for $75 a pop. And it was super fun, super amazing. They had people fly in from Oregon, you know, that just wanted to play for a time twister because like it had eyes. And that's what you ultimately want your shops to do, is where they're getting eyes from outside the state to where they're okay traveling.
See, I think that that's so fascinating because I feel like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure other people, like other formats, have people that are obviously dedicated to like grinding events and stuff like that. But I don't know anybody that's like flying out across the US to like go play in some other shops like Popper event, unless it's like a massive, you know, it's like the, like I think I saw it was like Poppergeddon or something like that. But like, you know what I mean? But like, cEDH players are wild, dude. People will fly out to go play in these events. Like they'll drive hours and hours and hours. I think Ty was just talking about how like they either had to take a train that was like a 31-hour trip, or they had to drive down to Texas and it was like 18 hours or something silly. Like people will move to go play some cEDH. Like it's insane. So I'm curious. Like it was nice for us to like literally have an event that, I mean, it was like 10 minutes from my house. It was finally nice to like actually have a decent event that close to the house. How would you go about, like, obviously for us, you know, one is like people that want to grow their local scene, and then also having the extra benefit of like we already have a Discord that's somewhat grown, and then we also have content and other stuff that we put out. So like we've been able to slowly become like more recognized in the space. How would you go about from that perspective, like if you were us, of growing our local shop and also using that to help, I guess, like encourage shops to be more proxy friendly or to host more of these events? Like what would you do if you were in our shoes?
What you're doing right now is fantastic. Like, I'll just throw that out there right now. This is probably some of the greatest content and like dedication from two dudes that I've seen in a very long time, with the heart that is in the right place. So, first of all, thank you for that from someone who's like outside of the state. I love watching what you guys are doing. But I would continue doing what you're doing, honestly. Shops are going to butt with you. They look at things different than what we do, right? Because they're the business. We just look at it as we're players. We want to play against the best. We don't want to play against, you know, Jake's wallet. We know Jake has the bigger wallet. We want to play against someone who has the exact same deck as Jake, even if they went to Staples. So it's going to take time. Shops are always going to be hesitant because they're thinking like if they don't have the card, they're going to buy then you know they'll buy the card. But if they don't have the card and they play for store credit or the money, they're going to spend the money there anyways. And like that's like the hardest bridge like quite a few of our shops have had, even from like going from like 10 proxies to full on proxy. They're like, you know, well, we want you to buy the force. Well, I'm going to take $60 store credit and then I get the force.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to trade in, you know, this collector box shaft that I got, spend a little bit of extra cash because I'm getting the force. Like like people want to own the cardboard. If if they have a deck they love, they will bling it out the best they can, and they will, you know, want to say that they proudly own everything in the deck.
I
And
s-
that's just how it always is. If you sell out and you know go full proxy, sure, but like everyone at one point will say they've owned their deck.
mm. I still
Like
I still have my store credit from that event that we all played in together through the decades. I still haven't spent it. But like that was something that was weird too, man. Like it really does change the way that you play the deck. I remember playing in that event and like I didn't have access to a lot of things that are like staples in my deck. But like I didn't have access to any of the duels. I didn't have access to Yogg's Will. Didn't have access to Force of Will or Force of Negation, which was really odd. Like trying to do stuff with it. Yeah, dude, it was tough. I'm not joking.
That's rough.
I didn't have access to I think I only had access technically to like 3 or 4 fetches, so I had to borrow a couple. It was weird. I
From
mean,
Chase.
it's so weird. Like, yeah, no, seriously, Chase pulled out his binder and was like, "Here, I have extras," and just started handing me cards, and like we just pieced together what we could. But it was so odd. Like I remember I actually put in Starting Town, and I would never do that. Like I would never do that. So,
God.
so but yeah,
you know, a
Okay, but
deck
you
that you
also could
can
have had the Force of Negation. You could have had it, if I remember correctly.
Chase had an extra, and I didn't know.
Right?
What were you about to say, Jake?
a deck that you could run that's actually really cheap for proxies is Yuriko.
You're
Oh,
so
gosh.
right.
Oh,
Oh my
gosh.
god.
Just saying.
Next
You know,
next event I go to, I'm playing Yuriko. As long as it's proxy friendly, I'm playing Yuriko. So don't
I've
worry.
heard that before.
but you
Then,
know,
okay,
I
I was gonna play it at this event, and then I was even gonna be an asshole at this event and take a full proxy deck. And then Lango made that comment about banning people for a year if they were cheating at events, and I said, "Ooh, Chase, I can't take Yuriko. I'll take it to the next time."
I was very thankful because I did not have to play flubs at that event. But I think, but you know what? I can't help but think like this part of the discussion. I know most of our focus has been like on a storefront and how to like really push that, and then also just like getting a bunch of people together. There's a lot of like misconceptions kind of all around as far as the whole proxy stuff, and so like like we've made it very clear, like some, especially in our region, stores are very hesitant on it. Like smaller shops are the ones that focus on the WPN, but there's a lot of players, a lot of casual players, or there are people that have been playing casual or trying to get higher up into the brackets that are kind of hesitant on, hey, do I really want to do proxies? Like that just seems weird, or like or maybe the paywall argument like you were talking about, as far as like people see these very expensive decks and they're just like, I don't want any part of that because I can't afford it. You know, I know that some of our locals, actually the ones that put the event together for our local shop, and I know Blake and I, we've kind of gotten some cards together as well, past few months, but like planning on putting together like proxy decks just for people to like try out, just to be able to get into the format. So like, or like kind of how do we go about trying to like almost persuade or like really kind of get more people from the casual perspective into our space through the use of the proxies?
So using the Ohio Discord as an example, we roughly get about 3 to 4 still joining like a week. Like I think have like 600, 700 people. Don't quote me. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but we have quite a bit, not including a couple bots, right? It's because like when we're out playing locally, like the casuals just genuinely accept power creep as a thing, and their decks are going to get power creep up to like maybe that bracket 4 at some point, unless like they stay within the intent of like the brackets they want to play in. But eventually someone's going to hit that bracket 4. And if bracket 4 and bracket 5 are a mindset, which let's be real, it is, besides optimization, but like if you're wanting to play a 4 to win and take it to an event, you may as well just slightly upgrade it to play it to a 5. Just let them play it. Like I will let people on Tuesday nights with, our stuff, I'll let the casuals play my deck. If I'm sitting out for a game and I'm just watching TV or just talking to like the guy running the shop for the night, I'll be like, "Hey, here you guys go, play Blue Farm." And then like everyone in the casual pod busts out their 4 to see who can beat the 5. And like they're like, what do we do? I'm like, print off, the forces, the fierce, the swats, the mind break trap. Like, mind break trap's $6 right now. If you really want one, you can put it in VV, and you just put that bug in their ear. And then the casuals will eventually print it out and try it. Like, okay, well, let me try the swap before I buy it. Or let me try the mind break trap since it's $6 for the Spider-Man printing, right? So then they try it and they like it because they're like, I feel really good about playing optimally and like going toe to toe with like the big dogs on Tuesday nights. Like we had one guy who played bracket 3 the whole time. He loves Vivi and he's like, I know no one's going to like Vivi. And we're like, come over here. We don't care. You want to play Curiosity and draw 7 cards? Big deal, bro. Go for it. Here's an OBM. You got a response? And they don't feel bad. Like they feel bad when they're like drawing a bunch of cards or playing land destruction with their friends. And we're like, yeah, that sucks. Underworld Breach. Like, that's kind of where we're at. Where like, if you play at a 5 all the time, you have that mentality like we're gonna get our land split up. We're gonna get, a null rod or a collector roof, and that sucks. But like, you want to win, I want to win, and we're having fun. And it's like the easier transition.
I honestly think, and I told Chase like yesterday, we actually recorded one of our podcast episodes, and we also did like a tournament breakdown. And when we were talking, I mentioned wanting to record a certain video because I've been thinking about this video for forever after talking to people that I used to play with in my casual group, and it's nothing against them. Like I've been to play with them a few times casually, like just to have like just regular games. Like they invited me over, they didn't have enough people. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not the biggest fan of playing casual Commander anymore, especially because I've gotten to do the cEDH things, and I feel like there's still, even as a cEDH player, there's so much cEDH that I have not yet explored that like you can do, like all these crazy combos and these things. Like I remember the first time I resolved like a Dargo win, I was like, holy shit, this is insane. But I think that there's a huge misconception like from the outside looking into cEDH. Like I think that whenever this channel even first started, like before Chase was a part of this, like me and one of my buddies, Jacob, used to play, we would just play casual together, and we had like other friends that we played with, and the channel was casting cost EDH rather than cEDH. And we made videos, and very quickly I was like, I want to like, I would love to explore like cEDH. And then all these people start telling me like what cEDH is, and they're giving all these opinions and input. And then of course now I think I know what cEDH is, so then I'm giving my own input on it when people ask me. And then now as a person who plays cEDH and makes content on cEDH, back then I had no fucking clue what cEDH was. Like it's funny because there's actual recorded evidence of me saying what I thought cEDH was because there were videos, and like going back and listening to myself, I'm like, you had no clue, dude. So like I would love to just do a video where we talk about some of like the biggest misconceptions that I feel like players actually have on what this format is. Because I think a lot of people don't even realize that proxies are like legal in this format. I think that they see the price tags on some of these Moxfield lists and they go, whoa, that's crazy. And then they think that that's like just forever out of their reach. They're like, I'm never going to be able to do that. And then they come into it and like you hand them a deck and they're like, what's that? And they're like, oh, it's a cEDH deck. And they're like, whoa. And you're like, don't worry, it's like $10. I printed it off at Staples. Like, so I don't know. I would love to shed more light on that. I feel like that there's a lot of people that don't, like they think they know what cEDH is. They think they know like what this format, like how the players in this space are. They think they know like how tournaments are. You hear a story about like an 11-hour tournament. You hear a story about this one bad thing that happened. This like, insert somebody cheated to win some whatever event. Somebody did XYZ thing and they just immediately developed this like thought on what the format is. But I feel like there's just so many people, including shops too, that just like don't truly understand like what this format is. And also again, just like how popular it's getting. Like I feel like it's so crazy to watch how fast the space is growing. Like I'm continue to meet so many people now that literally like at events, they'll be like, oh, this is my first cEDH event. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like it's just crazy. But I just want to keep seeing it grow. So I'm glad that like we're having discussions like this on like how to just even make that even faster. And I did check to see what y'all's Discord was at, and it is 619 people.
It's a lot.
That's a fuck ton of people.
That's a lot of
Especially
people.
since like the 3-year like birth date of that like server is coming up in like January, because I think I made it like right after New Year's, when like a few of us like from like my hometown and like Columbus was like, yeah, we should probably just like converge like all of us together so that way we can like play games and do stuff like and just chat instead of having like 60 million different group chats, on Facebook. So
I am curious, and sorry, Chase, if you did have a question like geared up, but I just thought of this because I'm curious, like from both of y'all's perspectives, because I kind of feel like I have an idea of what both of you will say, but how obviously being from different places within like within our like little cEDH like scenes, like obviously Cake is in Louisville, and then Jake, you're in Ohio, and obviously like the proxy standards there are so different, and like what stores will allow and all these things. How do you think that has affected, I guess, like the level of play that you've experienced at your local areas, or like the level of players that have come out of that local area due to like some of that?
when we first started like having multiple shops do events before it became as saturated as it is, like we're firing like basically gold events almost every weekend at this point
Mm-hmm.
right now. You know, like when we first started doing this stuff like 2, 3 years ago, it was basically like who you would expect to make top cut. So like Andy Beach, Kevin Simmons, Matt Sweeney. People put me in there. I don't necessarily think I'm one of the best, but people say they're not surprised. Um,
You are.
Whatever.
Hmm?
It's just like they expected it because like we had like the decks, we had the skills, we had the reps. Like they just expected it. Like, oh, Jake got top four again at a 16 man, big whoop. Like, okay. And then, like, when they went to the 10 proxy, you started getting more people out of the woodwork because, like, they wanted to try the waters and, like, they could play, like, a little bit more fringe decks, like Elsha or, like, Bruce Thrasios back in the day because, Zerto was cheap. The only thing you really needed was Grim Monolith in your duels. So, like, you got the woodworks. Now that you have full proxy, we have like 16-year-olds coming to events. Like literal high schoolers printing a deck off at Staples because they just found like Comedian's List or like Wounded's List, or like they're trying Andy's old Atraxa list. Like they're just printing it off and they're coming and playing. And like if they lose, they're like, "Hey, how did you beat me?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'll show you how I beat you. Like I'll explain the whole breach line. Like, we got 30 minutes of play. I will play it out for you so you know what to expect. And then they take it and then they're learning. And like people here are growing and like the overall scene's getting harder. Like our locals are sweat fests. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. When you have like Andy, Isaac, Matt, Kevin, all of them come out, people are trying to beat them. People are trying to stay toe to toe with them, and therefore the scene's getting better, the scene's getting healthier. And proxies allow that because then they can just print off like Blue Farm or Rogsai, and they don't have to worry about trying to figure out like what's a good cut for a Wheel of Fortune or a Time Twister. Or like I can't afford a Ristic study because I'm 16. Like
I
they're
feel bad.
able to they're able to compete, and that's what makes like the scene stay healthy and stay good, because like the 16-year-olds are going to then bully their friends into playing, and then they're going to come out and they're going to do more stuff. So like the proxy like lease, I guess you could say, where they had such a grip on it and now it's just free reign. People are coming out. Like it's sick that you can just go to a 60-person event or close to 60 like any Saturday of the week in Ohio. You just got to drive an hour and a half. Like it's pretty freaking sick. But,
Jake,
you know,
Jake, what about you? Like, obviously, coming from the other end of it, where proxies are like no go at your local shop. Do you feel like
Hmm.
the quality of, and nothing against any of the players, but like, do you feel like the quality of play there is good or bad, or do you feel like
No,
you're not?
something against them. Something against them for sure. No, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, it definitely has an impact. And I shared recently, I don't remember if I talked to you guys about it, but just in the past few months, people have gotten to the point that they want to own a deck, kind of like what Zerrick was talking about. They want to own the duels. They want to own their holy grail of a card, which has been a good thing because it brings out a higher quality of deck, which in turn, as people learn these decks, it brings out a higher quality player. And we have a long way to go to get to the point where we're anywhere close to what Zerrick plays against every month. None of us travel to tournaments in my local scene. We all play at TTD once a month, and that's about it. I'm fortunate to have traveled a lot in the last couple of years, and then just this year I haven't traveled very much at all, if at all. But knowing guys like you guys, knowing Jake, knowing a lot of those guys that are of higher quality, I get to play against that a little bit more than a lot of people at my locals. But I also have a very dedicated group of like 8 or 9 guys that are very regular to locals now that are getting better. And we're all getting together to play with the mentality, I want to get better. And it's helping our locals grow in terms of the quality of player, because now we have more people at locals that are getting to the point that they know how to politic. When I first started watching gameplay and watching people politic, I started doing it, and I was the only one at locals that did it. And it was really funny. I remember a game I played where it's a really common thing to be like, I'll show you my hand. I can't do anything. I'm not a threat. And I do this all the time. And I showed my hand to a guy, and he like closes his eyes and looks away and is like, I don't want to see your hand. That's not what we do here. You're not supposed to show your hand. And I'm like, dude, no, that's a very common thing. Like, so just a lot of the political aspect of cEDH has been foreign for a long time. And we're finally getting to that point where it's not foreign anymore. I hear people all the time now be like, look, here's my hand. Look, I just have 2 cards, so the politics are getting better and the quality is slowly starting to shift in that direction. But the proxy thing is very, very difficult.
So, yeah. Go ahead, Chase.
Well, and I was going to make the point of like now in bigger events, you have kind of the opposite of that specifically, where it's just like, show me your hand. And if you don't, I'm going to push here. I need you to show me that you can stop me, because if you can, I'm not going to go here. I'm going to let someone else do it. Give me a reason not to do this. Yeah. Like, give me a reason not to push here. Like, you have that polar opposite take on that. Plus, I mean, for you yourself, like, you've kind of developed this reputation through the decades, I feel like, where it's just like, oh, Jake's good top 4 again. But I do think whenever it comes to like the play, like, and it goes back to that paywall point where it's just like the players that, that go to these events and have put the time, money, and invested into the deck that they want and the way they want it. And, people, I've had this happen at locals, or at least I kind of feel like it at times, where it's just like, well, Chase has everything, so it quickly turns into a 3v1 if it's that kind of event where there's, the no proxies allowed and everyone's doing like a 4+ kind of deck, but they don't have everything that they need. It's just like, well, that creates a bad game experience for everyone at that point. And I think that's kind of what pushes a lot of people away. And almost like even it, like where you're talking about, you have this dedicated group, that probably plays like even outside of through the decades, but in your local area, there's not a lot of people that are sound interested in trying to go and travel and just okay with the experience that they're handed. And that's disheartening. Like, and I was thinking about this too, as we were talking, like, I remember the event we went to for the Mox Diamond, and like Zerrick, you and I, we had that game, and afterwards, I don't remember his name. I saw him at the cookout as well. He plays Sisse through the decades. He came up to me and was just like, how do you play this deck without having a Guy's Cradle in it? And I was like, buddy, I got one. Like, I have a cradle in there. But he's like, but no, like, how do you actually play this deck if you don't have access to what the deck needs to properly function, is really what he was getting at. And that's really disheartening. That just feels bad. Like, I don't think players in this space should have to question that. That shouldn't even be a thought on anyone's mind. So yeah, this whole proxy thing is just, it's a lot bigger than I think people realize, and needs a lot more answers to it. But I think that some of that will come in time based on whatever the future our format actually is going to look like.
This is gonna sound kind of simplified, and it's probably not like fully accurate. But I have always said, like, because you hear the people say, like, "Oh, I want to play against you, not your wallet," like that whole thing. But it's
Mhm.
there are people that I know that like truly hate proxies. Like they hate them with a passion. And I've never been able to be the person to get my brain around, like, wrapped around that, because again, like, this may be simplifying it a little bit more than it probably is, but I've always said, like, all I hear whenever somebody goes, "Oh, I don't like proxies," is like, "I can't have fun because you're poor." That's all I hear whenever I hear people say that. I'm like, just like, that's all I hear. So it is what it is. But I think that I don't know. I just think it's important to have like little discussions and stuff like that. I know that there's probably a lot of places, especially like people that have bigger CDH scenes and like they have grown quite a bit. They probably don't think about these types of things. Whereas like us here locally and in again like the Kentucky area, it is tough. Like me and Chase, I don't think that whenever we started the channel, I don't think that I ever thought that I would be super excited to like travel to a bunch of events and think that I was going to be trying to like compete in tournaments and like place really high. I honestly saw us as more, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I thought that we would be more in like, I guess like a play to win type of sector where it's like we talk about fun stuff with the channel, like tier lists and other things like that, and then we make gameplay videos, and like that's pretty much what we do, and we're just like content creators, ha ha ha. And then we did like a couple of tournament breakdowns, and I also remember like Chase saying that he was interested in like potentially coaching, and we both were like, yeah, but we don't have any credibility in the space right now to do that. Did a tournament breakdown, ended up having like a couple of people that did well in the tournament comment on the video, became friends with those people, did another tournament breakdown, same thing. Like they recognize it, they see it because they want their deck covered. We become friends with them, and then we become friends with more people and more people and more people. Now I'm messaging people all the damn time that are like they're so much better than I feel like I could ever even be at this game. Like I've been right now having conversations with trying to get people on the channel, like Alan over at like the Atlanta Power 9, talking to like Spooky. Obviously, like we've had Kellen on a couple of times, talking to like Corbin, talking to like other good players in the space, like Ian, other people. Like it's, I don't know, I feel like are excited to try and grow our scene locally because we want to, one, get up to snuff what we think like these other players are, but also we can see in our locals now that like at first they were okay with just playing like casual cEDH essentially, and now they're excited to go and travel and like go to events, and they're talking about wanting to like top and like do really well in these events, and you can see the level of play rising every single month. Like the more and more access to other players that we have, and the more access to cards, and the more access to tournaments and things like that we have, I can literally see the level of play in our local place even just like getting better. But I don't know. I know that was kind of like ranty more than just like going on one point, but I'm just excited. I don't know. I've been wanting to pick your brain on this like all week, so I'm excited that we're finally recording it.
Well, I'm happy to be here, buddy.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what to say to that right now.
I mean, I get it. Like because I texted Jake, I don't know if he remembers this because it came up in my like memories from like a year ago, or when I played in the Open in 2024, I top forward. I beat like Bad Dog in like a game that like I somehow won to get from top 16 top 4. I was like, I'm playing against Brian fucking Koval. Like I have no idea what to do because like this dude is insane in Legacy. And then like we were in a like 4.5 hour game. Like it was him, Kevin, me, and Ducky, and it was just a slugfest. And it was like a high. And then I go to Pittsburgh for the Invitational last year. He's playing Legacy. He's over at the cEDH scene. He's like, "Hey man, it's been a year." I'm like, "This dude remembers me." Like, that's awesome. And like it was good to catch up because like it's just like, it's not like, meeting your heroes, but it's like you're recognized by like the people that like you look up to like in the community or like as a player like that you want to strive to be, and you can say that you've done that. And like that's like why I love going to travel, because it's like who am I going to run into?
Mhm.
Like meeting Kellen for the first time was like a fantastic like blessing, because now I have like a really good friend, like that like I brew decks with and I talk like and shoot the shit with. Meeting Jake when he came up to Columbus, like for Mox Masters Invitational in the Open was like a fantastic time. And like getting to meet you guys at Through the Decades, like it's worth the travel, like because you get to make friends, because like all the cEDH people is like a one big happy family.
Yeah.
Like we have rotten apples, like every other like group, but like everyone that you click with consistently, because then you're like you have a common thing where you're like, yeah, let's talk Magic, let's play games, let's try and get better because I want to get better. And it's just like it's something that if you're passionate about, you stay connected even if they're in like California or like Tennessee or Kentucky. Like you'll travel. You have friends that you can travel to now and crash at their house in their basement. Like it's totally worth it. And you get to have fun, you get to play in a new meta, you get to meet new friends, and it's honestly like it's worth the trips. And it's because like the memories are like what makes like cEDH tournaments fun. Like everyone sits down for 80 minutes and sweats, but like we're joking. Like, you tutored up OBM and everyone's like, draw. I'm like, nah, dude, we're having fun. And it's like stuff like that that you
This
remember because you
guy,
have, I
this
mean, it's
guy.
true. Like, think about it though. Like, was that a bad pod? No, like we had a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I'm sure the Magda didn't have any fun,
Yeah.
but like
I got
we
hated
had a
on
lot of
again.
fun
Poor guy.
when I played against Chase, and Chase was like, you know, doing Sisay things, and I'm just like, I still don't know how the fuck this deck wins, but I know how to stop it. Like we had fun. Like it's that kind of stuff that makes like the overall cEDH tournaments worth it, because like the games are the same, but it's the interactions because it's the social construct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you have like that great personality or like that great pod, you're gonna have a friend at the end of the day that like you have a common goal of wanting to get better. And if you keep pushing with that common goal, you two turn into like Ash and Gary, right? Where you're just like, I want to do better. I want to win a tournament. I want to top 16. I want to go undefeated on Sisay, bro. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, I never played Sisay, but like Chase has been killing it. And I'm like, I'll play Sisay at local. And then I'm like, I still don't know how this deck wins, dude, but I did it.
Dude, sometimes I don't even know how that deck wins. And, from that tournament, I think the most fun anyone had was this Kennen player that gilded Drake Azur. and,
Bucks
just
playing Zer in 2024 or 2025.
but like
That's the most fun I
think
had at the tournament, that's for sure.
I think that this is the side of things that like a lot of casual players or people looking to potentially get into cEDH needs to see. Because I remember a couple of weeks ago when we talked with Kellen, like I made this point, like when we were talking about like the cheating and the lying and things like that, like there's a lot of things that happen in our space. There's some controversial things this past year. But at the end of the day, it is this social aspect. It is the gathering portion of Magic the Gathering that is the most important part of what we are doing. And I genuinely believe that like most of my experiences within the cEDH community, as opposed to more of a casual community, has been overwhelmingly positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of going back to the idea of like the misconceptions and what people think of our format and things like that, like what we are talking about here and the points that you brought up, Jake, that's what's real. Like that's what's at the heart of this format and how much the community drives it as a whole. And so that's, if anything, that's what I hope people get out of that or out of even this discussion or anything. If we ramble too much, if we went off topic with a lot of things, like that is the key point in all of it. And like, just if you want to grow, focus on the gathering, focus on building the connections with people in this space, whether it's in your local scene or abroad, and then it will happen. Like it will happen. It's just like the power creep example. Like eventually people want to play stronger stuff. Eventually people want to gather in this space and be able to have a positive experience and compete at the highest level that they can. We just got to find those opportunities for it to happen.
And
if they never allow proxies,
to
then you hit up
piggyback on
Chase.
that, every
Sorry?
format has cheaters and drama. Let's just put that out there right now. Pro Tour has cheaters that happens. Your RCQs will have people that cheat or, try and bribe or collude with you. Like, it will happen in every format. If you let one bad apple shine in your personal experience, you're not going to have fun. But if you can just say, it happened, it's done, I don't have to deal with them until maybe Top Cut if they make it, or I don't have to deal with them ever because I drove 6 hours to, Kentucky, and I live in Ohio. So, like, if I had a bad experience, I'm not going to deal with them after that moment.
Right.
And if you can like learn to like separate that like first game to the new game, and you can go in like, yeah, you can be upset. You can like genuinely, I understand it. I've been there myself. We all have, where the last round has genuinely pissed us off. Someone's cheated. We've been called like, something like belittling, or they've just overall ruined like the fun. Like, I get it, but and like if you can just let that go, the next pod might be better, because then you're like, oh, I'm playing against my best friend. Like, it's sick. I can put my deck down. I can go buy a monster and wake up, and everyone's gonna look at me like I'm crazy. But like, I trust that I'm gonna have fun because I'm with the people I enjoy. Like,
Yeah.
that's what matters.
Yep.
Every format will have cheaters. Every format you will have someone that will give you a bad experience, and I'm sorry that that's happened. I'm sorry that it will happen. But you have to let the good outweigh the bad. And if you have a bad judge, it happens in every format. If you have a bad TO, it happens in every format.
Right.
Like, you have to let the bad go, and then just enjoy the good, because that's what's going to keep you invested, and that's going to keep you going, and that's where the fun is. Like, when you guys went to the cookout, I'm sure you had a bad pod at one point where you were genuinely frustrated, maybe. But like the next pod, when you saw like Kellen or the others, like, I'm sure you had fun. Or like you got to hang out and vent after, like that kind of stuff. Maybe. I'm just saying it might have. Don't quote me.
Blake.
Blake played Zer. He probably got oppoed. Like, let's be
Blake
real.
did go. Blake had a child.
I had a baby.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time, buddy.
I'm just saying, if anybody wants to oppo Zer, I said it in my deck tech. It's a May trigger. Get fucked.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have them.
Absolutely.
No matter like the big event, like that matters. Like, Kellen and me got lied to in a pot at the Invitational, and it's like the top 65 that are supposed to be close. Like, no one talks about it. It happened. We're done, and we moved on.
Yep.
Like, but overall, that was the most like fun competitive Magic I've ever played, because like everyone knew everyone, and it was just us being stupid while trying to win and brag that we won. Like, playing against Corbin and Bailey, like, bro, I knew that game from the start was going to be a draw, but you know what we did? We were making jokes and having fun along the way. And that's what mattered. Like, you gotta let the bad go.
Yep. Ooh, hell yeah. I like where this.
I feel like Blake and other Jake also had a lot to say at one point at the beginning of that. I feel like we went in a very serious discussion, and they're both just over there just going.
Nah,
I did not mean to take up the time. I'm so sorry.
No.
I was gonna make the joke.
I see that
about
I'm
the
more like
C.
Blake and Jake is more like Chase. Got it.
I was gonna say the C in CEDH stands for collusion, but it's all good.
No, the C stands
I
for
thought it was
Ohio.
crop rotation. Oh.
Crop ride.
Oh,
Mm.
feels bad.
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever this
Anyway.
is totally off topic, but yeah, when he said rotten apples, I was like, that's a very interesting way to say crop rot.
I have
Oh
no
my
comment.
god!
I have no comment.
I'm just kidding.
Sometimes it's just better not to comment whenever it comes to Blake, but
it's all good. I'm just having
Just
fun.
let the snicker go.
But no.
We're just having fun.
Hell yeah. Well, do y'all have anything else that y'all want to add up? I mean, obviously, this is not going to be the last discussion that we have. We'll have plenty more of these because we're just a bunch of four unhinged people that love to jam games and talk about cEDH. But do y'all have anything else that y'all want to plug or anything y'all want to talk about or anything like that?
well, I do have this question for Cake. You know, as far as like, you know, I guess just overall thoughts from like your perspective on things in this discussion, because like I said before we even started recording, like it's the three of us that kind of have this issue as far as like in our state. Like, what do you feel like you would need to see some changes to take place in order for us to kind of grow in this direction that we've talked about tonight?
It's a good question. I don't feel like there's enough effort in the Louisville area. Maybe there is more so in Bowling Green, because you all just had a tournament that allowed any number, not any number, but 10 proxies, which is already 10 better than what we've seen anywhere in Louisville. And it's mostly just through the decades that host cEDH tournaments, but there's not enough effort from the player side, and I'm kind of blaming myself with that, to try to get these events going. And so I think just from this discussion and talking to other Jake, and I think he and I will have more conversations in the near future about this, because I am interested in going to maybe other shops. If through the decades isn't going to budge, then go to other shops and try to grow from another shop, because it's very much a place that you we're very central, like we're right in between Ohio and Tennessee, so it's not that far to travel for either one. And so I feel like we could get, I don't know, nothing insane, but we could get a gold event. And so I think just putting the effort to trying to get a shop on board is something that we would need to see, and somebody that's willing to do that. And then I think once you do that and you see someone willing to take that step and try proxies or try a full proxy or whatever, try an event, see how well it goes, and then try to grow it from there. I think that's what we would need to see in order to grow at all. But I think what you guys have done is, it just makes it clear that it is possible and the proxies are helpful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and I think Blake and I, we kind of joked about this. I think when we first hit 1K, and we were talking about like, okay, what's the next like big thing? What's the next big thing for the channel? And it's like, what happens when we hit 5K? And that's why we keep pushing for all these subs. So people listening right now, if you haven't subbed, go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and press that sub button. I think, but I keep playing this over and over in my head. I genuinely believe that our area, being in Bowling Green or like this Western Kentucky area, like you brought up that point of like, it's not too far of travel from Louisville and Nashville. And then even going beyond that, like Ohio, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, Alabama, like all these different states, like we have an opportunity where Bowling Green could really be at the center of like a lot of things in our region. I think that a big goal for the channel, I really want to see if we can push a 10K. That's ambitious. I know it is, but I think it's possible. I think that if we can get to that point, but it all drives back to that, the gathering. It's the connections. It's the people that we meet in this space. It's wanting to grow and get better and just drawing people in as much as we can. And so I think we could get like 10K, like, or not just gold, but like platinum
I know,
events going
I know a
here.
certain TO.
We know a certain TO.
We do, no, but
Maybe we don't.
no, there's a no. I do think that we could do something big like that. Honestly, like I mean, obviously it'll take a little bit of time, but we've got big space here. Like they do like the Poke Fest and like these anime conventions and stuff like that over at Sloan. Sloan's a massive location. Like they host like local hard rock like MMA events stuff over there. It's a big hall. Like I honestly think we could rent that bad boy out. And if we could fill that sucker up and then also have like vendors and other people that wanted to come in there and do stuff, that'd be so sick. And there's so many damn places to eat in Bowling Green anyway that it wouldn't really matter. There's tons of food trucks and stuff. You could just basically let people know like, hey, we're doing this event. If you want to come and like set out there, whatever we'd have to do. And like we'd obviously have to work it out with them and figure it out. But dude, I think that would be so sick. And honestly, part of the reason why I want to do that is because I want people to see that like we're just two fucking guys from Kentucky, two simple people as Chase calls us, that like we just love the game. And like it's crazy because I enjoyed cEDH, but I wasn't like obsessed with cEDH whenever we first started the channel. I just really enjoyed it and I was like, oh, it'd be fun to make videos. I literally think about this shit all the time. While I'm at work, I'm literally like making calls or doing stuff, selling stuff, and I'm like thinking about edits that I can make to my deck. I'm thinking about other decks I could put together, things that I could play, tournaments that I've been to, misplays that I've had, all this shit. And like I think about like episodes that we could film, all this stuff. And like I'll literally be sitting there just doing like a ton of outbound calls, and like the whole time that I'm like dialing on my little thing, I'm on Discord and I'm like messaging people in the space, like Bad Dogs. Like I was just talking to him the other day about like Zerr and talking like all the stuff, like just trying my best to get like build connections with people in the space so that one day once we actually hit that mark, I could literally be like, hey, we're doing this thing out here, will you please come to this event, because we would love to have you. Because like not only would I want it to be a big event, I would want to be able to say like we have some fucking killers coming to this event. Like if you want to get good and you want to experience like high level play, this isn't just going to be like a fun event. This is going to be full of like some of the best damn players in our space. So I don't know. I think we can do it, but
You sold me. I'll go.
hell yeah. But at the same time,
Sure.
keep in
better.
mind this is an ambitious goal, and Chase said it, not me. So
But you know what? I think it's ambitious, but I think we could do it. It may not be the first event that we host, but I think that might be something we talk a little bit more about and figure out. But kind of going back to what Blake was asking, do either of you have anything else you would like to kind of talk about?
anything I want to
No?
plug, anything
Jake?
like that? Any upcoming projects, stuff like that?
If any of your shops that you talk to about trying to do non-proxy, if they're hesitant or they want someone that's like done the ropes, send them to me. My DMs are always open. You guys have access to the Ohio Discord. You can have them in and you can initiate a conversation. I will happily help any shop that is willing to accept the idea of taking a risk for growth for the players. I will happily have that conversation every day. Like I have had when like Better Plays was first starting, me and like Josh, the owner, we talked to where he was like getting understanding like the tournament and how to run it and everything like that. We talked for like 3 weeks where he was just picking my brain because he wanted to have good events. And like I showed him the numbers like from like other shops that are no proxies, like how their turnouts were, people buying cards that I knew, like that went and just bought like the Force of Wills, like the fetches and the foils that they wanted. Like I had the numbers, where I could show it. And for 2 or 3 weeks, and now he's one of, in my opinion, the biggest top three Ohio cEDH shops where he's getting 60 plus players at an event if he throws it up last minute. Like he's solidified because he's listened to the players, and it wasn't just me. He asked everyone, like, "Hey, how do I get better? What did you not like?" And the TOs all talk to each other at this point in Ohio. They know who a problem person is at one event. They know what went wrong at someone else's. They know what went great. They know who to ask for judging. Like they have all of these resources to make the scene great. And I will happily help anyone that wants to do that, like without any hesitation or without asking for anything in return, because I want people to go and have fun. So if you have shops, send them my way. I'll help you guys out as much as I can because I think, Kentucky can have some fire scenes. And it would be sick if, like, it's Midwest for the C and CDH instead of just Ohio or like SoCal, like it'd
Hell
be
yeah.
sick just to expand on it.
Oh yeah.
See,
Absolutely. Jake, you have anything else you would also like to say for tonight?
Nothing related to what we've been talking about.
see,
And we'll just go off on a bunch of random tirades.
Yeah, he's like, I have so many other thoughts, but maybe that is for a different time because we will have you guys back on here. And we've already done gameplay with both of them. So go and check that out if you haven't already. And ultimately, if I kind of had to wrap things up, it is get connected with people, gather, go play the game, have open discussions, not just with the people in your community, but the shops, but people that online, people that are willing to help, to teach, to help this space grow, because that's where it all starts. And it really can't do that unless we all take an active part in it. So, but yeah, I don't have anything else for tonight. If you guys don't, go. If you're in Ohio and you're not part of the Discord, join the Discord. If you are a store, or maybe if you are trying to build your own scene, it's like Zerrick was saying, get in contact with him, get in contact with us, join our Discord, so that way you can be part of these discussions and actually be able to give your input, or maybe even talk about some of the struggles that you are having in your own local meta. Maybe if you don't want to join Discord, or maybe you don't have Discord, drop it down in the comments down below. Be able to talk about what your experiences are there too, because that's the only way we're going to keep growing. And this scene clearly wants to keep going. So I have nothing else to say if you guys don't. I'm going to wrap it up with this. I just appreciate you guys getting on here and talking with us tonight. I look forward to talking with you all again. I know Blake is really anticipating me. Say like, subscribe, and as always,
go play some CEDH.
Hell yeah.
I'm the whole time I was like, let's go. Yeah, let's get it.
I'm sorry, bro.
I love saying it. It's so fun.
Gonna get there.